Hello and welcome. This is James from the DSO Imager channel. Tonight I thought I'd do something a little bit different. Pretty frequently when I see pictures of the moon or the lunar landings or of other objects in space, I see that there's a lot of, how does one say, a lot of disbelief that these things are real, that the pictures are real, or that we really have landed on the moon. One picture that I saw recently that's been making the rounds in social media is a shot from Voyager that had the moon and the Earth in the same frame. And those who are skeptical about what they're seeing will often say things like, "Where are the stars?" So I thought I'd do a quick video going over the issue with the stars. Now, what you're seeing here is a live image of the moon from my backyard on one of my telescopes. It is cloudy out, and you can see the clouds coming across the moon, although you only see the clouds when they're over the moon. And the telescope that I'm using is this guy right here. So I actually took this picture this evening before it got dark out. And our forecast said it was supposed to be clear. And that's why I have my telescopes uncovered and ready to go. But this little guy is a 65 millimeter refracting telescope. It is an Askar 65 PHQ if anyone's interested. This little rectangular black box you see here is a mini PC that I have mounted on there. It is a Mealy Quieter 3 that I picked up from Amazon. The camera here is a ZWO ASI 294 MM Pro. That does mean it's a monochrome camera. I have a filter wheel over here. This little red box is an autofocuser, so I can focus the telescope remotely. I am connected to this mini PC right now from my desktop from in the house, going over Wi-Fi, and this is what you see here. And notice there are no stars. Now, why are there no stars? Well, there are no stars because the moon is so bright that I have to adjust the camera settings so that the moon's not completely blown out. Now, if we look at these camera settings, right now I have the exposure rate at 0.984 milliseconds. And I have a gain slider here. Think of gain as like volume on a television. Or if you're a photographer or familiar with DSLRs or mirrorless cameras, this is kind of like the ISO setting. And so I can increase the ISO to make it brighter. And look, with the gain maxed out, you can start to see the clouds here. I can also increase exposure to let more light in. And now we can see the clouds very well. But look at the moon. You can't see the moon. The moon is just so bright. It's insane how bright the moon is. I mean, haven't you ever noticed that on a full moon you can walk out in the backyard or outside with no lights at all and still be able to get around? Now, stars are extremely faint. And for me to get a good look at a star, I would have to increase the gain significantly. Not just the gain, the exposure as well would have to be much longer. And if there are any stars around the moon, which I'm certain there are, right, I'm not going to be able to reveal it, even if the clouds were not here, because look what happens to this screen here. It's too much for the Wi-Fi signal to be that bright. But so here, now we're exposing at over a second, and it just, right? I mean, so even if we're pulling the brightness up enough to see stars, you're not going to with the moon there. This is one of the reasons astrophotographers do not like the moon, as beautiful as it may be. Now, what you see here is controls for my mount. So I can slew away from the moon, and let's see if we can find any stars. And I know it's cloudy out, but there are some gaps. We should be able to see some stars. What I'm going to do here, for the photographers out there, this is a histogram control. So I can increase the histogram, basically stretch it on this image, just to see what's there. It's a useful way of being able to find objects, and I'm going to increase the exposure as well. And what we're looking for is stars. That might be one. Let's see. Oh, we'll have to wait for the clouds to go away. Let me reset this stretch here. Okay, yep, that is a star. So we're exposing at about half a second now, and we can see one very bright star. There's another one over here. So the thing is, the astronauts on the moon, in order to take pictures of the moon's surface, they had to adjust the shutter speed on those cameras, or actually those cameras were designed to be shot on the moon, so the astronauts probably didn't have to make any adjustments to the cameras. Maybe they did a little bit, but the fact is, if they were to get the moon, the lunar surface, and the astronauts and the lander and everything exposed properly so you can see it on the film, you would not see any stars because the exposure is not bright enough, or not allowing enough light in to show those stars. Likewise, the pictures of the Earth and the moon that Voyager took, and other probes that we've sent out there that have taken pictures of other planets, the same deal. The planets are also very, very bright compared to stars and nebula that are at long distances from us. And so the exposures have to be set right, and you're just not going to see any stars in those. Now, if we leave it on this setting here, actually first, let me zoom in, just so we can get, oh, there's a little star there, a little faint star. Yeah, I mean, clearly that's a star. There's another one. So this camera is now set to show the stars and also reveal the clouds. And if I move it back towards the moon, alright, well, we can't really see the moon, can we? We can only see very bright light. We can't get any surface detail at all. What I have to do, again, is dial back the exposure. There's our moon. So I hope this visual demonstration helps for those who are keeping their minds open. I mean, if you've already decided it's all fake, then nothing is going to convince you. Then this video, I'm sure, the comments will be interesting to see the explanations on how this was faked. But if you're open to the possibility, or you're just not sure if this stuff is fake or real, because there's a lot of noise out there and misinformation, I hope this maybe helped shed a little bit of light on the no stars issue. Now, with all that said, this isn't my typical content. I mentioned earlier that I am an astrophotographer, and you saw the picture that I have with 3 telescopes in my backyard, and I primarily take pictures of nebula like this. So if you have an interest in astrophotography, I basically show how I capture these and how I process these. That's the bulk of the content on my channel. I also review hardware, mostly the hardware that I own. So if you're interested in any of that, then this would actually be a good time to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, please don't forget to like it. If you think I'm part of the vast conspiracy and that all of this stuff is fake, then go ahead and hit that dislike button. Either way, it's all good. So, other than that, clear skies, everyone. Good night.